Good morning to one and all, and welcome back to the second session of day 3 of STTP on dynamic transformation of innovative teaching pedagogy. And now we have a session on topic that is developing growth mindset by Dr. T. Ravichandran sir. Dr. T. Ravichandran sir, he is a professor in English in Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and sir has a qualification of MA, MPhil, PG, CTE, PhD, and has professional experience of 30 years. And sir has published 10 articles in foreign journals, proceedings and chapters, and 19 articles in Indian journals, 21 chapters in Indian books, and one book named Postmodern Identity, and also presented various papers in foreign conferences and symposiums, and also presented 33 papers in national symposiums, seminars, conferences, and workshops. And sir also edited 3 magazines. Under his supervision, 9 PhDs were awarded, and sir also organized short-term courses and workshops. And sir also delivered lectures in various foreign countries like South Korea and Japan, and also in India, that is home country, that is in Noida, and also presented 3 live webinars, and also conducted 2 workshops. And sir has a membership in 11 professional bodies, and sir has selected for Champa Devi Gangwal Chair at the India Institute of Technical Kanpur for 3 years, and also awarded the Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship. Sir also awarded with the gold medal for the best PhD thesis in English in the year 2000, Pondicherry University. And sir also won first prize and gold medal in various poetry competitions, and also he honored as a advisory board member, and also elected as president for the Tamil Nadu Tamil Mandram at IIT Kanpur, and also elected as chief advisor for Dr. Bhattu Alumni Association at Career Network since March 2005. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Happy learning, friends. And now I will hand over the session to the sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So good morning to all. So since we are having this on Google Meet, so the request is that except me and the organizer, all people should be muting the mic. And, except the organizer and myself, I request all of you mute the mic as well as switch off the video so that the bandwidth is not affected and it's audible to all the people clearly. So I'm actually presenting it from 2 devices. One I have kept as a standby, third one. So if you want to see my picture on the one, you have to pin that, but if you want the PPT, you have to pin the PPT and then it will appear to you very clearly. So let me thank profusely the organizers for giving me this opportunity to meet you all and discuss with you about this very mind-boggling topic, developing growth mindset. This session is not going to be like any other session where you will actually try to just watch it and then take inputs. I'll make it as interactive as possible, and at the end of it, I'm also open to your questions based on the inputs given in the lecture. So keep noting your questions, doubts, and in between be alert. And then when I ask you, I always want you to respond through the messenger. Okay, so I mean the chat. So you can just respond to me on the chat. I'll be able to see that, and some of the questions which are missed can be taken up at the end. So the topic is developing growth mindset, and I have subtitled it as transcending from fixed to growth mindset in turbulent times. The kind of times that we are caught in, and how we can transcend from the current fixed mindset, which most of us are caught in. Okay, so the time that we are talking about is similar to the time in literature that Shakespeare presents in case of Hamlet, where Hamlet very famously remarks that the time is out of joint. Oh, cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right. Now, all of us are caught in this kind of conflict. Like Hamlet dabbles with a skull and he utters this kind of statement. But we are all kind of dabbling with this most dreaded virus, COVID 19, and we are not sure what has happened to the time. It's like 2020 is a complete blackout. And do we curse our fate, or do we wonder whether we are born to set it right, or what should we be doing in this kind of turbulent times? Now, before I go to the next one, I just want you to respond very quickly. What is the positive takeaway from this lockdown situation? So, lockdown, I'm not suggesting the literal lockdown, but the kind of period that we are actually held captives at home, whether working at home or spending most of the time at home and not being able to move normally, meet people. What is the takeaway that you have? What did you uh, get? So, and the positive ones, I just want you to put it on chat, not the negative ones, because there are plenty of negative ones. So, just type it on the chat. I can just look at it. Okay, Mr. Rajesh says, be with family. Yes, COVID has made two things very important. One is family, and more than family, number one is health. So, people, whether they liked it or not, they are forced to take care of health as well as family. Okay, so learning opportunity, yes. So, learning opportunity is something that we were able to uh, get during this time. Learning opportunity by spending more time online. Yes, this is Mr. Ratnakar, and Bhargavi ma'am says innovative teaching tools. Yes, share thoughts with parent. Yes, Mr. Vijay says don't fear for anything. So this was the time you developed courage also. So Kumar says taught what life is all about: simplicity, spirituality, and uncertainty. Okay. Sai Prashant, more time for introspection and learning. So if you look at it, on the one hand, surprisingly, when they imposed lockdown, they said that all non-essential things will be closed, and one of the non-essential things, ironically, they closed were educational institutions. So all colleges, all educational institutions, libraries, they were all closed. Okay, but on the other hand, it also allowed us to go online, explore the possibilities of learning on our own, developing confidence in ourselves. Yeah, as Samant points, air pollution and sound pollution got reduced. Sandhiram says health is wealth. Yeah, this is something that everybody has realized at this moment. Hygiene and nutrition has been given a lot of care. Ruby says the unpredictability is something that has become a new norm and we are getting used to it. Shashwan says nothing is permanent, be ready for change. Okay, so already some of the things that you are saying, it's indicating a positive mindset, a growth mindset, and change is the only constant, Bhargavi says. Yes, I agree. Now let's go to the next thought that I wanted to discuss with you. Uh, the game is all in the mind. Okay, and as Milton says in his famous Paradise Lost, a mind not to be changed by place or time. So sometimes people were saying that if I were in that place, I would have done this. If I were in that time, I would have done this. The time is not good for me. The place is not good for me. But as he says, the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. What matter where if I be still the same? So the point he says, even if you are at home, even if you are within four walls, even if you are sort of confined, so what he says is it doesn't matter. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. And even if in some case, family itself unfortunately has become a kind of hell. In some cases, it's a heaven. But again, Milton says it's all because of the mindset. You can change a hell-like situation into heaven and vice versa, depending on your mindset. Okay. Now, let me begin with the story, and all of us are interested in listening to story. And those who have already watched my videos, they know that I'm very fond of telling stories and then making a point. Uh, there's a very old story I heard during childhood times about Vettalai Party. So those who don't understand Tamil, it simply refers to a grand old lady who is habituated to chewing pawns. So this is this pawn eating old woman.
Not
So,
pond, that leaf.
okay. So I'm just thinking that the North Indians might be getting it quickly. Literally, Vettalai is referring to betel leaves, and in the ancient culture, they don't go for ready-made ponds, but they go for betel leaf, and then they make their own pond, and then they eat it. So this lady, the point is, she used to buy betel leaves for 10 pies each day, and then she takes three leaves for each session, and she eats it for all the three times after food. So breakfast, lunch, and then dinner, three leaves. And after eating all the nine leaves, one leaf is remaining, and that one leaf she keeps it for the next day. And on the next day, again, she buys for 10 pies. And then again, she gets 10 more leaves. And then she keeps the old one on the top. And then she first eats the old one and then consumes another nine. So the next day, two leaves remain. Again, she keeps those two leaves for the next day. And then they are kept again on the top. So it goes on. It goes on till the time where she reaches a point where she's eating only old leaves. Although she's buying new leaves every day, she's eating only old leaves. Now, the author leaves the story here and then makes us ponder. And that is the point that I'm also trying to make. What is making this lady continue with the old leaf and not being able to go for the new ones? One is this fixed mindset, and the other one, like, if only she decided that she will throw that one old leaf or give it to someone on day one. Every day, if she decides that one extra leaf, she will leave it. So she'll be eating all the day new leaves. So this needs a growth mindset. Growth mindset is also required to think that, okay, I'm reaching a level where I'm eating only old leaves. So I'll stop here and then I will go for some time when I finish all the old leaves and then buy only fresh leaves. So growth mindset is required just to throw a very old rotten habit that we are caught in. And then just like this old lady, throwing one leaf would have made her enjoy eating only the new leaves. But the fact that her mindset is not yielding to it, she was not able to do it. Now, let's go to the actual topic, mindset, with this introduction. And what are the definitions? What are the types? So the lecture is in three uh, forms. One is about like understanding mindset, then talking about learning mindset, and third, how we can develop growth mindset. The first point about mindset, we need to know that it's all about outlook, and then I'm giving you some examples, and you will see the differences in outlook. A famous shoe company, that is Bata, sent two of the representatives to an island to explore the chance for establishing their new unit. So the island, and they wanted them to go and check whether they can market shoes to the people. So one of the representatives immediately responded in a very regretful manner, and he said that no chance, since nobody wears shoes in the island. So he saw no possibility because nobody was wearing it. Now the same situation, same island, the second representative was so elated, so happy, and then he mentioned splendid opportunity since no one wears shoes. Okay. Now where a person saw a bottleneck end of the road, the other person saw new opening, new avenues. Similarly, two people went to the rose garden. One said it's so beautiful, so full of roses and so fragrant. So the other one said it's full of thorns and it is so frightful. Okay. The same sun, one person found it very warm, pleasant, and energetic. The other one found it scorching heat, lethargic. And in Albert Camus' famous novel, The Outsider, the protagonist, Mersol, he tells at the end in the quote that he was actually uh, shooting, killing someone on the beach in a fit of mind. When he says he blames that to the scorching heat of the sun, he says the sun was the culprit, and that actually made me lose my mind, and I just shot this fellow. Now the same one can think that it's giving me a lot of energy and making me happy, and the other one can think that no, it's not giving me that kind of energy, it's making me feel depressed. Rain, some people find it very depressing and unwelcome. There are others who create their masterpieces, so they find it very refreshing and most welcome. So, what is the difference? It's all in the mindset. Mindset is all about knowing about one's attitude, and it's defined in various parameters, combinations. But if you look at some of the words I have put, it's all about inclination, intention, habit, tendency, propensity, worldview, the philosophy of life, the way of thinking, and then your normal spontaneous response to something. So all of these things related to your mentality, so all that conditions you are thinking, so they are considered to be causing your mindset. Now, some very quick definitions. It's a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situation. It's also a person's way of thinking and their opinions. So in the history of mindset, if you look at it, it has started entering into psychology in 1920, where it referred to habits of mind formed by previous experience. Okay. So there are various types of mindset. People can have defensive or offensive mindset. Defensive mindset people normally, while driving, they drive within a safe limit. The offensive ones, they always overtake. They go in high speed. Environmental technological mindset. Environmentalists believe that stop using plastics, don't waste fresh water and all that. Technological people think that there's a technological solution to everything, so don't worry about harming environment, we'll find technological solutions. So there is positive mindset, negative mindset, abundant mindset, poverty mindset. Abundant mindset thinks that life is rich, and then there is treasure for me if I work hard. Poverty mindset always thinks that the resources are limited, so I have to fight for getting the resource. I should always be in this cutthroat competition. I should kill someone to get my benefit. So that kind of thing. There is also public mindset, press mindset, etc. But the most important is fixed and growth mindset. And we need to know more about growth mindset. But even to know more about growth mindset, we need to understand fixed mindset. You cannot tell me that I do not have a mindset. Okay, so you should understand that even when you say that you do not have a mindset, you have a mindset. Okay, and then the next question is it good or bad to have a mindset? you should have a mindset that results in favorable results, and it induces positive response from the people around, and that is always desirable. But sometimes one may be caught in a mindset that brings in poor results and appear to be harmful to the people around, and that may not be desirable. So that is something that will lead to a kind of mental inertia, a fossilized behavior, and a kind of paradigmatic thinking, which will be very difficult to change. So that results in a patterning of behavior and repeated responses. So in short, it becomes the so-called fixed mindset. Now, Carol Dweck, a world-renowned Stanford University psychologist, based on her research on achievement and success. So what she did was she was studying people who were high in achievement, and by and large they were very successful. So based on the study, she published a book, and it became a path-breaking book called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. What does she do in this? In that, she differentiates people with growth mindset and those with fixed mindset. So this is a major difference that she shows. And fixed mindset people believe that their abilities are fixed. They do not flourish in life. Whereas growth mindset people, because they believe that their abilities can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and mentorship. Hard work, I need not explain this one. All of us know what it means uh, to do hard work. Mentorship, sometimes in the form of a person who tries to help you, but sometimes it need not be in the form of a human being. I would consider that when I read Carol Dweck's Mindset, the book itself was a mentor for me. So sometimes a book, sometimes even a movie, sometimes even a friend's positive ideas, sometimes a teacher, a friend, philosopher, guide, even parents and relatives. So all can be mentor, but apart from that, we can also find mentorship coming through books and other videos and very good positive thoughts. Okay. Now, all of them contribute to outstanding achievements, and the one that is in the middle, good strategies, I just want to elaborate further, because good strategies are very important, and when combined with hard work and some mentorship, so you will be able to achieve much more better than what you are normally doing it in your day-to-day life. Now, good strategies, I'm going to go back to another story, and then from the story I will again uh, try to illustrate like what I mean by good strategy. This is a story that all of you have heard from your childhood. Different versions are available, but the message is the same. In some place, they will call it the hare and the tortoise. In some place, it is the rabbit and the turtle. So let's look at it as the rabbit and the turtle. Turtle is something that can move freely in water as well as on land. So you know this story that the rabbit actually called the turtle for a race, and they went on a race. And in the race, the rabbit ran so fast, and they thought that this turtle will never come so fast. So it thought that it will take rest for some time. And while taking rest, the turtle moved slowly and then crossed it, and then slowly it went, but it reached the target because the rabbit fell deep asleep and then it didn't get up in time. And to compensate the loss, it could not do anything, and it lost the race. Now, the moral that we have been told is that slow and steady wins the race. Okay. Now, this is the situation. This is what we have been told all the time. But the same story can be interpreted in different manner, and we can look at it from a growth mindset, mentorship, how we can actually work out different strategies and good strategies. Now, the rabbit. let's say it went to a mentor and it wanted to find out from the mentor what went wrong. So then the mentor said that maybe little bit of arrogance, little bit of overconfidence, and then losing your target in between, giving into your sleepy, lazy habit. So if you take care of all of them, so you'll be definitely able to win. And if you're consistent, so you will win. So again, the rabbit called the turtle for another race. They agreed. They went on the race, and at the end of it, this time the rabbit ran very fast. It didn't stop, and then it reached the target much before the turtle could reach. And then the message that we can take, like when there is a change of strategy, what we understand here is fast and consistent will always beat the slow and steady. So earlier also the rabbit was fast, but it was inconsistent. So if you are fast and consistent, you will always beat the slow and steady. Now, does that mean that the turtle is wrong? The turtle is at fault? No. The turtle again consulted a mentor. It read about how it can improve. The turtle learned one important thing. It learned that it has to rely on its core competence. Understand each one of us has our own core competences, and it wanted to think about its core competence. So the mentor said, think about your core competence. And then it realized that yes, it has a core competence that it can swim faster in water than walking on land. So this time the turtle went and then it talked to the rabbit and it asked for another race. The rabbit was again overconfident and said, anytime, anywhere you want. So he said, okay, I'll just decide the path, and it indicated the path. The rabbit agreed, and then halfway through, the rabbit realized that there is a lake in between, and it has to cross that by land using a roundabout way. So while it was running fast, it has to cross that. So the turtle reached the place slowly and then crossed the water so fast and then reached the target much before than the rabbit. So the point that is made here is if you are able to identify your core competence, and then you can change the playing field to suit it. Okay, so one, identify the core competence and do not play in the wrong field. Choose the field that suits you. So that is the next message that we can take as how you can change the strategy. Now, the rabbit also realized that now it has a core competence, the turtle has a core competence. Together, like it understood that they'll make a good team. So this is most important for us as teachers, as colleagues who are cooperating with each other. They went and then they discussed with each other, and then they realized that why not use the core competences together. Okay. And when they realized that they can use the core competences, they went on race with other animals. For example, like a fox and a crow joined, a lion and a tiger joined. Now all animals joined, but they didn't have the kind of core competence these people have. They always went on a match and they always decided the field. But what they did, when it is on water, the turtle was carrying the rabbit and it was swimming very fast. And when it was on land, the rabbit was carrying the turtle. So they could run fast, they could move fast, swim fast, better than others. And they were always winning over other teams. Now, what is the message from this? What is the strategy that we are learning? Compete against the situation. Now, never blame anyone as like you're too arrogant. Maybe, okay, it led to some kind of wrong strategy, but we need to understand that if you're able to change the strategy, all we need is a growth mindset. And if you're able to think out of the box, you will compete against the situation, not against the rival. Okay. Pooling resources and working as a team will always beat individual performers. So, like for example, this kind of short-term course, projects together, and even in institutes where you are working there, if you're able to work together as a team, pull in a lot of core competences, you'll make a very unbeatable combination, and you will benefit the people around you also. So that's what I want to tell you through this story, just especially to tell you about good strategies. uh, Important to change strategies and important to identify core competence and then make teams, okay, pull in resources, and that will help you to beat with the situation. Now, uh, I'm going to give you 1 minute task after a brief discussion on this. I just want you to identify some fixed mind traits from your own personal experience and some growth mindset traits. But normally, Carol Dweck categorizes like this: fixed mindset people avoid challenges. Okay. Growth mindset people welcome challenges. So, the person who was sent to the island, first one said, you cannot sell shoes. The second one took that as a challenge. So he thinks that you have to only convince the people about the need for using shoes. Once you do that, there is monopoly. No one can compete with your business plan there. So the fixed mindset people hate changes, whereas the growth mindset one embrace changes. This side, they focus on limitations. They all the time think that how can I do? My age is a problem. My talents are limited. My knowledge is limited. My experience is limited. I have limited resources. How can I do? So growth mindset people always look for opportunities even in a limiting situation. Fixed mindset, they think that they can't do anything to change the situation. Growth mindset people think everything is possible. Fixed mindset people don't accept criticism at all. Is a very important thing I'll talk later. Growth mindset people, they treasure feedback and would learn eagerly. Fixed mindset people prefer to stay in their comfort zone. Growth mindset people love to explore new things. This side, they think their efforts are futile attempts. Growth mindset people learn from failure. They work hard to develop themselves to achieve success in future. Fixed mindset people, they think learning is something you get from school or college and it ends once you get the degree, so they stop it. Growth mindset people, they keep learning till the end of their life. There was an old man who was so fond of developing his vocabulary, he was on the dying bed and was about to take his last breath, and the doctor was still trying with an injection and he brought a small bottle. So the old man looked at the bottle and some new words were there. He wanted to know from the doctor what is the meaning of that one new word that looks very strange. The doctor smiled and told him the meaning. The old man understood the meaning, remembered the word, learned the word, and then gave his last breath. So, till that last minute, he wanted to develop his vocabulary and he developed it, and he died with that satisfaction that he died as a learner till the end. So, that's a typical example of people having growth mindset. Let me give you 1 minute assignment. Identify five of your fixed mindset. Sometimes it comes in situations, sometimes traits, and five of growth mindset. Just I'm giving you 1 minute, and then you can put it in the chat or you can write it in your notebook and then share it in the chat. After a minute, I will just ask you. Yes, please share traits, situations that you find that is kind of fixed mindset, either in you or in the people that you have seen around, and growth mindset examples other than what I have discussed. So we can very quickly discuss and go to the next point. So chat. Okay. Miss Ruby says growth mindset has to be positive about everything because every action has reaction. Yes. So yeah. So normally growth mindset people are incorrigible optimists. So the normal growth mindset people think always that positive will happen. So if it doesn't happen today, they will think that tomorrow it will happen. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, they'll think day after tomorrow. So you cannot remove the optimism from them. So that's a important right. Yes, one should desire challenges. Yes. Have you seen fixed mindset sometimes in you with the people around? Yeah, Dr. Kumar says yes. Fixed people have a traditional approach rather than traditional. I would say very conservative approach. They always want to go by certain fixed norms and they don't want to break it. Sabha says growth mindset is being patient and perseverance and focused on the goal. Yes, perseverance. Yeah, Dr. Kumar, you want to say something? We are hearing other sounds.
Sir, I would like to add one more thing in that.
Yeah.
I have practically experienced it. Actually, I'm working in an engineering college. Some of the office staff who are working over there is a retired person.
Okay.
Retired from HAL, retired from other organization.
Okay.
What they have a traditional mind. They do not believe in a change.
Okay.
What they are doing, just like a pattern is which is going to be follow up. They do not believe in a strategic changes and other changes which are not going to be. They do not believe in that type of changes, sir. This is my personal experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, you can unmute mute yourself because a lot of other disturbance is coming. Yeah, I agree. This, but I would also like to tell you that I would not like to make it a stereotype or generalize. Although I have seen many institutions like what you have said, these people are all like retired and they don't want to do anything. They just want to pass time and they don't encourage any new ideas. But still, among them, I would find somebody who even like very senior and all that, but still open to challenges and encouraging people. So they are there, but sometimes they are also not there. Fixed mindset is avoiding the expected challenges. Sabha is saying yes at work and continuing in comfort zone. Yes, staying in your comfort zone is also making you fixed. Mr. Bhaskar, your video is on. Or do you want to say something? If not, I think you can switch off the video. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's continue. I think you have a fair idea about fixed mindset and growth mindset. Before I want to tell you why I asked you this, let's look at the quote from Carol Dweck herself. She says, I have always been deeply moved by outstanding achievement and saddened by wasted potential. Deeply moved by outstanding achievement of growth mindset people and saddened by wasted potential of fixed mindset people. Understand, like people are people. All of us have core competences. All of us are capable of extraordinary achievements. But she says she's saddened by those people who have a lot of potential, but they are not able to achieve because of the mindset, fixed mindset. And she says, I'm so saddened to see that. If only they change the mindset, if only they throw that one old leaf, unlike this lady, if only you throw that one old leaf, you will be chewing all new leaves, enjoy new forms of life, which is varied and then multicolored instead of just thinking about only one kind of situation. So the point that is made, I'll continue here, is about changing mindsets. And so far, what I was doing it, I was trying to tell you in the previous slide so far that mindset is all about one's belief, your mental attitude, your habitual way of interpreting and responding to situations. And different people respond to different situations because of the mindsets. The way we respond to failure, especially, tells us whether we have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. Uh, failure, or you completely upset, depressed, blame others, go into denial mode, and then never come out of it, or you also undergo the process, but then after some time in denial mode, then you try to introspect, try to understand that, okay, these were my limitations, these are my assets, my core competences, I'll develop on them, change the field, come out of it, and then do it better next time. So that also indicates whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed one. And I was telling that it's very important to nurture a growth mindset, and it's harmful to have a fixed mindset because it will lead to mental inertia and intellectual fossilization. So sometimes people, even at the age of 30, youngsters today are having fixed mindset. So forget people who are retired and all that. Even youngsters have started developing this kind of fixed mindset, always thinking that it cannot happen, always thinking in a very negative manner. And then some distinguishing traits I also try to discuss with you. Their ability to welcome challenges, embrace changes, look for opportunities. They are incorrigible optimists, and then they are willing to learn from failure. They respond to feedback and they explore new things. Now, in the assignment that I gave you, 1 minute, I asked you to introspect for 5 areas, and some of you pointed out appropriately. What is important to understand from that is we all have this so-called mixed mindsets. We are neither completely full this side nor this side. In certain areas, we have very strong fixed mindset. In many other areas, we do have growth mindset. We need to understand it's like a spectrum, and mindsets are like in the picture I have put, they are the changing gradients. So the magnitude towards which they incline are important. So where are you? Are you in the extreme red side where it is indicating complete fixed and fossilized mindset? Then it is dangerous. Okay, come towards the green, come towards the growth mindset. Okay, so that sometimes if you constantly tell, if an awareness is created, if you introspect, am I becoming fixed? Am I so rigid? Am I not opening up to new ideas? Is it because I'm afraid of facing challenges? Is it because I don't want to take risk? Now those introspection will help you, and then just taking a chance. Growth mindset people is all about their ability to take chances. Okay, now let's understand, once you have understood that mindset should be changed, the next important component of developing growth mindset is developing learning mindsets. Okay, creating a learning mindset, always willing to learn. As I gave the example, till the last breath. Before we understand how we can develop that, we need to know why is it that some subjects are allergic like max, and the same subject is like eating laddus for others. Why people have this kind of things? Now the point they say is, apart from one's IQ, one's ability to acquire knowledge, skills and techniques, it all depends on one's perception about oneself as a learner and the way a person learns a subject. One's perception about oneself as a learner, that is my mindset about the way I will learn a thing, it is actually deciding the way I should learn it, and it decides my learning objective. So if I think I'm not good at mathematics, mentally, I will not make efforts to learn, and I will keep telling me that no, you cannot learn it. If my mindset tells maths looks like a good subject, I will try to learn, or computer, for example. So some people it is anatomic, some people they enjoy using the computers. Fine arts, some people find it very difficult to draw a picture, some people like draw it very effortlessly. Now what is it determining? It's all about learning mindsets. And where have we developed this? We have developed this from our primary or middle school level itself. Our teachers, our parents, our friends, our benchmates, batchmates, they have all given us this mindset that you can learn this, you cannot learn this. They have told us. But what we need to know, I have put in violet color, is the important point. Human intelligence is highly adaptable to new challenges. Okay, so it's highly adaptable. And Carol Dweck observes that a person with a fixed mindset believes intelligence to be a fixed trait. However, with growth mindset, one can learn from any unfamiliar field also. They believe in the growth of intelligence when it is added with new information and latest skill sets. So, even if it is unfamiliar field, so if you are able to add new skill sets, and then if you believe that you can actually be open to new information, then you have growth mindset. The other important thing is like when people tell you that you're not smart, you don't have the talent, so you cannot learn this. They're imposing a fixed mindset. Now, to change it, we need to understand that uh, learning something has nothing to do with smartness. It has to do with practice, hard work, persistence. We need to make baby steps, one at a time, to affirm, confirm, and reform our established belief system that is contributing to fixity. So, even laziness, which people think is something that is intrinsic, it is not so. It is actually lack of effort and caused by a fixed mindset. So fixed mindset student sees extra efforts as waste of time. So he will indulge in laziness. He thinks that there's no point in doing that. So why would I try it at all? Okay. How we can develop this? Some tips from a book. The authors say that first recognize that hard work and gaining new knowledge, facing challenges will actually facilitate growth mindset. So hard work, gaining new knowledge, facing challenges. Intellect can be grown with regular practice. It's like a muscle. Just like you develop your physical muscle, even brain muscle can be strengthened by practice. And failure need not be an end in itself. Focusing on how to improve using different strategies, giving more time and efforts can contribute to success. So be always willing to take risks in terms of learning, however difficult it looks. Okay. So some more thoughts on how to develop this learning mindset. Poor performance, either from students or even our own poor performance, it's not a reflection of one's personality or intelligence. And we need to do a lot of self talk. Okay, whether you call it self hypnosis, self mesmerizing, what you need to do is you have to kill that negative voice when it comes. When it says that, oh, you cannot do this, you have to say, just stop it, I'll give a try. So the exaggeration of a situation emanates from the fixed mindset when it says it's too tough for me, I can't do it. But there is a feeble growth mindset voice that also tells you, why don't you give a try? And then again, fixed mindset voice tells, no, 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 don't ever try. You cannot do it. Again, it says, why not just give one single try and see? No, 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 don't do it. Just try. No, it will be difficult. It will be tough. So suppress that negative mindset, that fixed mindset, and then you have to listen to that growth mindset. It needs constant practice, but once you start doing, very soon the fixed mindset will submerge and the growth mindset voice will dominate in you. When you hit a setback, fixed mindset will tell you, oh, this will be a snap if you really had talent. So you didn't have talent, so you lost it. Whereas growth mindset will tell something like this is so wrong. Basketball wasn't easy for Michael Jordan, and science wasn't easy for Thomas Edison. So they had a passion and put in tons of effort. So I'm going to give quotes from these two personalities. Thomas Alva Edison. So he said that I have not failed 700 times. He didn't consider even that 700 times as not even one as a failure. Said I have succeeded in proving 700 ways of how not to build a light bulb. He only says that he tried various strategies and found out the good one that made me invent this light bulb. And look at Michael Jordan. He says I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying. The key word for growth mindset is trying, 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 giving a chance. So that is the key word, and one should keep in mind. And this is another interesting thing about this B. So normally they say this B, they call it humble bumble bee, because if you go by aerodynamic laws, the bumblebee cannot fly. Its body weight is not the right portion to its wingspan. So ignoring these laws, the bee flies anyway. So if only you listen to the law, the bee will not be able to fly. So it's ignoring the laws and then it's able to fly anyway. Because if it is listening, people will tell, no, you're doing something against law, against rule. It is not possible at all. You will fall down, you will hit yourself, you will kill yourself. But ignoring these laws, it flies anyway, and then it's able to get its food easily. Now, the third part, we will go to understand the secrets of developing growth mindsets, and particularly as how we can develop this changing mindset. So far I've been talking about learning mindsets, and one's perception about oneself as a learner is very important, because that is what is deciding about how you try to learn a subject. And your decision will affect your learning objectives also. A person with a fixed mindset believes intelligence to be a fixed trait, but one with growth mindset believes that even intelligence can be grown. The brain muscle is malleable, it is soft. And what you should do, consistent practice, and then you can change the established beliefs. So, and some of the tips I gave: hard work, gaining new knowledge, taking risks, facing challenges, and working on failure by focusing on different strategies and more efforts can contribute to success. And the most important one, use self-talk to eliminate fixed mindset right from the bud itself. You have to nip it in the bud. And some secrets, how we can do that. One is be like a baby. Now, having this baby mindset means you need to observe a baby, and you will see that the baby is never seen unmotivated. It's never afraid of exploring. Whether you say that it's fire or it's rain or it's mud, so it would like to explore itself. Even if you say don't touch it, in your absence, it will go and touch the fire, and it will learn that it's hurting me. It will go to the rain, it will learn that it's giving me fever. It will eat the mud and it will learn its own way that it's giving stomach pain, or chewing slippers is not good and hygienic for me. But it will learn, it will explore, and it learns through experiential knowledge. As babies, we all had this growth mindset, but we developed fixity by accepting the views of others. As we grew, we started burdening ourselves with lot of loads that other people shed on us, lot of negativity. The topmost is people telling, hey, you belong to a particular caste. If your father was a cobbler, you cannot become an engineer, you cannot become a scientist. So you cannot go to space organizations, you cannot become a professional, you will remain a cobbler. Now, Abraham Lincoln disproved that. Okay, went to the highest post in the most advanced country. People saying that, oh, you belong to this religion, or you eat this kind of food, so your brain will be like this. You cannot think, you cannot act. You belong to this race. Hitler believed that only the Aryans were superior. So he said, rest of the people cannot rise up to the integrity, the physical might and thinking of Aryans. Okay. So these are all fixed things that have been fed to us, and saying that you are suited only for a particular kind of work. You can develop expertise only in the fields where your parents have expertise. If your mother is not a doctor, you cannot become a doctor. So you will excel if you're in that environment with those conditions. People will say that, oh, if you're convent educated, so if you're there in that institute, then you can do this. But if you're coming from a remote place, village, you cannot do this. So the surroundings are important. Now, they'll say circumstance are very important, because circumstance will actually make you. But the truth is, circumstance do not ever make a man. Circumstances only reveal what a man is. So the same kind of background, one can become Abdul Kalam and one can end up as a criminal. Okay. So it's not the circumstance, it's the mindset. And you need to understand that people have been telling you this kind of things, that your intelligence can never be improved. You are a dull, you don't have smartness. And whatever hard work you do, whatever determination you have, so it is not possible. So the other important thing that Carol Dweck tells us, which may be difficult for some of us to accept, is that she says, learn to live with critical people if you want to develop growth mindset. Now, in human relationships, most people are used to the culture that you appreciate, I will appreciate you. So you garland me, I will garland you. You come to my network, I will help you. Okay. And it is normal and natural to like someone who idolizes, prizes, worships you, who flatters you, who tells you profusely things that you are totally incapable of doing, but they keep praising you. And you like those people, okay, the flatterers, the fake people. But what Carol Dweck says, the relationship in which one keeps the other in pedestal leads to stagnancy. Normally, in romantic relationships, so the one keeps the other in pedestal, and the time they realize that the idols are feet of clay, then the relationship either breaks or grows further if they have a growth mindset. But normally, if they don't reach the realization point, she says it will be leading to stagnancy. So for growth in a relationship, partners need to be critical, at least when and where required. It's only by giving a realistic picture of one's achievements and shortcomings and by accepting it positively, relationships will thrive. So this is very important. Plutarch also says that you should learn from your enemies. Look at the quote from him. He says, let us carefully observe those good qualities wherein our enemies excel us. Sometimes we are so jealous of our enemies because there is a trait in them that we have rejected in us. We could have become like them, but maybe out of laziness or fixed mindset of our own insecurities, we didn't develop that trait. So we are so jealous of them. So not only enemies, anything that you are jealous of, it only means that there is a narrow miss. You are capable of doing, but you didn't do, so you get the jealousy. Otherwise, you will not. If you are developing your all your abilities, if you actualize yourself fully, you will never feel jealous of anyone else. Okay, you will have jealousy only with your achievements, like your past and the next level of achievements, but you will not feel that with others. But what Plutarch says, endeavor to excel them. He says you even emulate them by avoiding what is faulty. So remove what is their limitation, but imitate what is excellent in them. Because to find fault is easy, to do better may be difficult. So we call someone as our enemies because we look at the faults first. Okay. But if we only look at what is making them excel than us, he says you emulate it. Look at corporate offices. Bill Gates, for example, somebody who hacked the system, instead of going on a law case against this person, Bill Gates embraced him. He called him to his company with the highest offer, and then he priced that you could find a fault in our system. We need your talent. He appreciated, and then he employed the person. So learning from the enemies. So current thinking is that be close only with your friends, only with your friend group, and identify some as your enemies and shun them and do not learn from them. But Plutarch and Carol Dweck says a very important thing that in order to develop growth mindset, you need to learn from your enemies. You need to accept criticism positively and instead of sulking. Okay. The next important thought is that do not believe in negative stereotypes and do not be vulnerable to stereotype threats. What is a stereotype? Stereotype is a very reductive fixed image or oversimplified opinion that categorizes a group or an individual in a generalized and prejudiced manner. Like saying that girls cannot become engineers, saying that boys will always do well in engineering subjects. Boys are more talented in science. Okay. Girls are meant only for fine arts. Okay. So these are like stereotyping and reducing people. Girls can never become pilots. So there was this movie Gunjan Saxena trying to tell you that the first pilot was I mean, the first lady pilot, despite lot of odds, she was able to prove against the stereotypes. What is the stereotype threats? So stereotype threat refers to being at risk of confirming as a self characteristic a negative stereotype about one social group, saying that, hey, you come from this background, so you will be an idiot. And then you think that you will be an idiot. So you come from this background, so you won't be able to do this subject very well. You come from this caste, you come from this religion, you come from this community, so you cannot do this. Now, there are two people, Steele and Aronson. They studied on this. Particularly, they went to black students because there are a lot of stereotypes associated with black students, especially by the white students. So, normally they say that black students will not do good in maths or any standardized test compared to white students. So, in the study, what they find when they are put together with white students, and when there is a teacher who is white and the teacher comes and tells that white students are good, black students were not doing well. Okay. In a situation where black students were put with black students, they were doing it better. In a situation where black and white students were mixed and a black teacher came, and then the black teacher believed that the black students can do better, the black students still did better. The best was when a white teacher was teaching for both black and white students, and the white teacher believed that black students can do equally good or even better. Black students performed much better. So there are two things here. The second thing I will come very soon, but the first thing is succumbing to stereotype threat can undermine one's ability to perform. So if somebody tells you that you belong to this mold, this category, so you will not be able to perform, and if you give in to that, then you are gone. The second part is, if you're a teacher, create that sense of belongingness. Okay. And if you belong where you need to be, you'll be able to work wonders. So this was studied by Catherine Good, and then they studied this males and females, and then with regard to max subject, and they understood that it's that lack of interest is nothing to do with genetics, nothing to do with DNA. It was all related to belonging. So when there is a teacher who is able to create a belonging, even the girl students did much better. So once a person feels fit in an academic community, he or she will perform better. That's what Dweck and others say, quote unquote. When sense of belonging is protected by learning environments that convey a malleable view of intelligence, students may be less vulnerable to the impact of negative stereotypes on achievement and intention to remain in the domain. Now, contribute to create a sense of belonging to where you need to be. If you're a person at a higher position, create sense of belonging for people who depend on you. If you're at a level where you are at the receiving end, seek a place where there is sense of belonging for you. Otherwise, like your real talent will not come out. Remember this famous Hawthorne effect, and that's very important with relation to your job that you are doing. Hawthorne effect actually started with an experiment, and it became a psychological term referring to the alteration of behavior by the subjects of a study due to their awareness of being observed. What does it mean? Elton Mayo conducted a study in Hawthorne plant. It's an electrical plant, so the name is Hawthorne. So from that, the experiment started. What he wanted to study, he went with a hypothesis that increasing the light level, decreasing, putting in low light, high light, unhygienic place, clean place, increasing, decreasing work duration. So he thought that all these things are going to increase or decrease productivity. Okay. So he went with a team. He selected around 300 people, and they studied. This was a long duration, like months together they were studying, and then for a period of almost 2 years they were studying, and they were trying to look at the output. Now the results actually surprised them. What were the results? First, they uh, enhanced the light quality, productivity increased. They put them in a very hygienic environment, productivity increased. They put them in a work situation where they gave lot of breaks, productivity increased. They gave leave at the end and then they made them come again and they observed for a month, productivity increased. Then they reduced the light. They expected that the productivity should go down, productivity increased. They put them in a foul smelling place, unhygienic place, dusty, dirty environment, productivity increased. They were expecting it should reduce. They completely reduced breaks, productivity increased. They didn't give holidays, productivity increased. The results surprised them. They wanted to know what's happening, and it's just completely disproving our hypothesis. So they went and they looked at the people, and then they wanted to know what's happening, what's right or wrong with these people. So instead of studying the productivity, they changed their study and they wanted to study the people who are involved, the subject. Okay, and then they realized that the subjects, the people, they knew that they are being observed, and they knew that they are selected for a study, and these 300 are selected out of 30,000, and these people selected these 300, all are women. They selected all women because they are small in number, and they thought that 30,000 is difficult to manage. So 300 representative sample they took. Now what happened to these 300 workers, although they were randomly picked? They thought that by being together as a group, they gained an elitist status. Okay, they are all, they thought rather they're all very good workers, that's why they are put together. Okay, and then they're all belonging and there is a group. Okay, and then they realize that they are studying that our output will be increasing or decreasing. So that awareness was caused. So they were all positive that all women put together and they all enjoyed the sense of belonging. But they realized, okay, you are studying that if you reduce light, we will decrease our input. No, we will disprove you and we will not spoil the name of our company. And they should know that when we are put together, we will be giving you the best results no matter what. So the result, positive emotion and sense of belonging, together they can work wonders. And that is what Hawthorne effect was telling. And in fact, it created a kind of paradigm shift in terms of motivation theory. So far, the carrot and stick theory was prevailing. That is, on the donkey, you tie a stick, at the end, you hang a carrot, and the donkey sees the carrot and then thinks that it will reach the destination carrying lot of load and it will get the carrot. Okay, so they pull the donkey like that. Okay, or if it doesn't do, stick. So you beat the donkey from the back and it will run. So far it is reward and punishment. Okay, from there the paradigmatic shift happened to intrinsic values. They understood that there is something that is intrinsic, inner, and that cannot be touched, whether you give carrot or stick. And that motivation, inner motivation, is very important in deciding what gives you job satisfaction and what gives you job dissatisfaction. Most people have a misconception that removing dissatisfying factors, like I don't have an AC, somebody else has an AC, I don't have a big cupboard, I don't have a big table, I have a crammed room, I'm sharing with so many people. If only I have a single room, if only I have AC, if only I have ergonomical chair, if only I'm given long leaves, etc., I will perform much better. Okay, now, or thinking that I will have job satisfaction. Now what these psychologists found is this job satisfaction and job dissatisfaction, they are different factors. Removing of factors do not guarantee you automatic job satisfaction. What gives you job satisfaction is something that is intrinsic, that sense of belonging, okay, that sense of contribution, okay, and that self-respect. So all these things cannot be compensated by increasing a pay package and all that. Okay, so that is one thing they found. And the other thing, they found that job security is also not coming through this kind of certificates and then guaranteed uh, income, etc. What gives you job security, as this M.R. Kopmeyer tells in his book, How to Get What You Want in Your Life, he says that your only job security is your indispensability. Your only job security is your indispensability. So you will get job security only if you become indispensable to whomever has employed you. Okay. How do you develop this indispensability? Develop a unique skill or skills for which you will be known for. It could be anything, even something that people normally think as boring. Report writing, for example. So your higher authority thinks that you are the one who can write that report, present it before MHRD, presentation skills, and get that fund for the institute. It could be anything, but make yourself indispensable. This teacher's class is the best because the teacher is using lot of skills. Okay. Now create that indispensability. If we remove this person, there is no one here to do the job. Although there is another thinking that no one is indispensable in the world. Everybody has to go, everybody has to be dispensed with, and somebody has to replace. That is there. But at least that illusion that you are indispensable, if you create that, that is the only thing that can give you job security, not anything else. So think on those directions in terms of developing, for which growth mindset is important. And as I'm going to conclude, I want to leave it with some note for the teachers and how to inculcate growth mindset in students. First is use price, appreciate, but at the same time do not overprice and do not give false hopes. Do not price smartness, do not price genes. Do not say, oh, obviously your mother is a doctor and father is an engineer. Obviously, you will either become a doctor or an engineer, or you will qualify both. Now, don't refer to DNA, don't refer to background, but praise hard work. If somebody has failed, you say that some more hard work, some more perseverance, some more efforts, you'll be able to achieve it. And avoid criticism, especially direct one, but give criticism without comparing the person with others, and giving it separately as a mentor, not as someone who is blaming for something that went wrong. Offer it in the form of feedback for further improvement, and you can be critical of lack of efforts, but you should be willing to give more chances till the target is achieved. Give them more chances, one more, and one more. In the COVID, like many of you said that during the lockdown, you learned something new from online. I also registered for a course from Yale University on the science of engineering. And one thing I learned from them is that there is no pass or fail in the course. It's only not at. They never give fail grades. Okay. And then I found that it's the same thing with so many European and foreign courses. They do not fail you, they want you to leave a level, reach a level. Like there the score is 75 to 80 for passing. Now even if you are 70, they will say you have not yet passed this quiz, take it again, and they will pinpointedly tell you watch this part of the video, and they will give clue that answer is there, but you learn from that. We are not going to tell you the answer, and then come back and attempt it again. So not it. Give them the long rope. Do not write off. Do not sign off. Do not say that somebody is a failure and put that as a badge on the forehead of the person and sign it off forever. No. Give the longest rope possible and say not it, and that will actually make them develop growth mindset. Now, just not to go monotonously, I just want you to watch a video and then introspect on this. When we say normally on personality traits, either for getting a good job or becoming a good teacher, we will always say that you should be cheerful, you should be enthusiastic, you should be proactive, you should be communicative, you should be confident, you should be humorous, and you should be able to answer all questions. Now, are they enough to get a job? What will be another trait that will be missing? And if you have all of these things, will you be able to have actually the so-called this personality traits? So I just want you to watch a video. I'm just trying to connect it from another source. In a minute, I'll show it to you. So first, I will disconnect from the presentation here. So, and then I have to present it from the other source. Okay, watch this and then tell me at the end.
Congratulations!
What?
This is your reception. When did you get married?
I am not getting married. This is the front desk. What do you want?
I'm looking for a job. I read in the newspaper that there is an interview being held.
Yes. Take a right and go to the third room on the left.
Thank you. Congratulations once again, huh?
Next. Please take a seat. What are you doing?
Taking the seat, sir. You're sitting on a chair. Are you the chairman?
Just sit on a chair. What will you have?
A job?
I meant tea or coffee. Forget it. What is your name?
It's Supandi.
Good. And Supandi, are you single?
Yes, yes. But the lady outside is married. She has a reception.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies? Do you play sports or games?
I love playing games. One game I like is hide and seek. 1, 2, 3. Not my den.
What is wrong with you? I don't want to play the game right now. Come back here.
Sorry.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Sir, I see myself being 5 years older.
Do you think this is a joke?
No, sir. This is an interview. This is a joke. Why did the chicken cross the road?
What is wrong with you? How do you expect this interview to work out?
Sir, I have to work out in an interview? I didn't know. Otherwise, I would have got my gym clothes.
Out!
Huh? Who got out? Is there a cricket match?
Please, please leave. Passport just got taken. We don't have a vacancy.
You gave me the last spot? So kind of you, sir. I will join from tomorrow. Everyone, go home. I got the last opening.
You fool! Leave this office before I call the police!
Oh, we are playing chore police. 1, 2, 3, not my den.
So, like, answer my previous question. I'm going to that. So the character here is very cheerful, has all the traits, but still lacking in something. So what is it that this person is lacking? Okay, other than timing, common sense. Timing, I think, is not an issue here. For a teacher, like or in an interview, I have recently I conducted an interview and I exactly had a candidate like this, and we didn't select the candidate. So other than okay, Sabha says understanding the context. Yes. What is needed for understanding the context? Before understanding, there is one skill that is needed. Apart from mindset, this like I'm talking about communication. Communication, we talk about Ruby Chatwal says is jovial and not a good listener. We use the term active listening. I would say that yes, miscommunication happens because he's not an active listener. A good teacher, a good communicator has to be an active listener and empathetic listener, has to listen not only with ears but also with eyes. So which means like you should not only look at the verbal part, you should also look at the non-verbal part, locate it in the context, and understand like when a person says no, sometimes the person implies yes and vice versa. So we have to understand the innuendos, the subtext, and then the communication becomes very effective. So even as a teacher, it's not enough that if you're cheerful, enthusiastic, humorous, answer all the questions, but if you lack listening skill, which is very important, and most of the times we talk, and when we talk we don't learn anything. It's only when we learn, only when we listen we learn something. So I just give you one quick question and then respond it very quickly, and then we are going to conclude the session. Now take a quick look at the bent lines in the picture and just message how many bent lines are there. Count the bent lines quickly and then message it, the lines which are bent. Put the number in the chat box very quickly. Put the numbers. How many bent lines do you see? Exactly, anyone number? Okay, Prakash says 8. Ruby also 8. Okay. But some of them have already got it correctly. The correct answer is like it's 0 because they're all straight lines. If you view each one separately, you will see that they are straight lines. Now, what has happened here is I deliberately tried to create a mindset, a fixed mindset, by telling that they are bent lines. Okay. Now, human mind has a tendency to find fault with others, and we will always see when you say that it's bent, we will always see that with that bent. We will not see that illusion that is behind. And if somebody tells you before you go to the class, hey, this person is that girl in the class is very mischievous, she is very bad. Okay, our mind will think like that. That boy is a very notorious boy, be careful with that person. Our mind will think like that. So the concluding thought is in order to develop growth mindset, we should not be prejudiced by the inputs that are given to others, and we should be able to see straight lines as straight lines, not as bent lines, because we go by other hearsays and mindsets. So that should be avoided. So as a concluding thought, how do you activate a growth mindset? All of us have this, but how do you activate it? So after you challenge the fixed mindset voice with a growth mindset, you need to ask right questions. What kind of questions that you can ask? So some list I have given you. When a situation is bad, like COVID situation, or you are learning something new from a course, so you can always ask, what can I learn from this? So what will be my learning experience? And what steps can I take to help me succeed? If something has not happened to my favor, what steps can I take to help me succeed? And do you know the outcome or goal I'm after? What information can I gather and from where? Where can I get constructive feedback? Like, where can I get a mentor? Is there a person available, or do I go for books and then videos? And if I had a plan to be successful at this year or at this objective, what might it look like? And when will I follow through on my plan? How will I follow through on my plan? What did I learn today? What mistake did I make that taught me something? Is my current learning strategy working? I told you, go for good strategies. Okay, so sometimes a strategy is not working, change it. Identify core competence. How can I change it? What did I try hard at today? What habits must I develop to continue the gains I have achieved? Your questions determine your focus and greatly influence your reality. In a fixed mindset, our reality is dim and limited, and the world is very big. So the more growth minded questions we ask, the wider, the brighter, and the larger your world and possibilities will become. So finally, make incremental changes. Do not expect overnight radical change, but make incremental changes. As long as you identify the direction, right strategy, move in that, make increment change step by step, inch by inch, brick by brick. Rome was constructed, but move forward and move in the right direction. That is enough. You will find epic change and monumental transformation in the long run. So I just want to leave with this quote from Albert Einstein. He says, education is not learning of facts, but training of mind to think. Most of the courses that are run, they all try to train your mind, and hopefully this one exactly located on developing your mind. I hope I'm like trying to help you to train your mind to think in a positive direction and then start something fresh. And there are some books that I'm referring to, mostly from Carol Dweck. Some online sources are available. Even YouTube today has a lot of videos on growth mindset in very simple way, just to motivate you. But before I say thank you and then leave you, I just want you to give me a promise that you will change and embrace growth mindset by try something new before you go to bed tonight. You can put it on the chat. You can use the audio video to tell me what is it that you will try before tonight. Okay, and then you can also ask your doubts. Something I want you to do, you just uh, finish reading that book, or you have not gone for a walk long time, go for a walk. Something that will help you health wise, mindset wise. You decided not to talk to someone, just call the person and then talk to the person. So something that you tell me, assure me, put it on the chat that you will do before you go to bed tonight. And thank you. With that promise, I'm just saying thank you. And then you can like put your questions, comments, or appreciations, if any, in the chat box. Now I'm open to discussion. We can have a very quick discussion.
Sir, can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice session. Thank you so much for enlightening and
Okay.
giving good insights. I would
Okay.
like to share,
Yeah, your video,
say that.
you can open on the video, only your audio is visible.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I am a professor for my MBA students teaching law and management subjects,
Okay.
and I have got two different cultures. See now how it works. You can put it in fixed thoughts or growth mind or culture or indispensable. Now, how will you rate it? I will tell you. See, in one college I am going, it is rural areas. MBA students are there where I speak in English, Hindi, and the regional language and make them understand law and management subjects. And nobody has failed. In last 10 years, I am there. And another, within half an hour's time, I have to go to another college where is the culture is like Harvard and Oxford, where I speak in good language, English speaking, no
Okay.
Hindi, no Marathi, nothing. And
Okay.
two cultures within a half an hour span. How will you
Okay.
rate me? Because I'm sharing this because so many people are there who are hearing, and they will also gain an experience from where I am, how I am managing myself. One rural college is paying 300 rupees for 2 hours, and where Oxford and Harvard culture is there, they are paying 3,000 for 2 hours.
No, but like,
Same day, same time. Only
okay.
half an hour time is there. How
Yeah,
will you rate me?
yeah, ma'am, rating in the sense what, like, you're asking whether you have fixed
No, no.
mindset or growth mindset.
No, I am open. I am indispensable. But I am
Okay.
just saying for others to understand that how will you means explain like because
Like,
in the same day only half an hour time is there for me to shift from this culture to this culture.
that is fine. Like, see, I would say that even at this time when you are doing it, it clearly indicates that you have a growth mindset, and you have a lot of flexibility. So some people will not be able to switch so quickly. So you are able to do that, and then I think you're doing both in a very effective manner. So
Yes, sir. Nobody has failed. For last 10 years, I'm there. Nobody has failed.
excellent.
It is Pune
Excellent.
University. Pune University.
Okay, great, great.
Yes.
So, and I think you mentioned your age also. You are 70, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's another excellent thing that indicates that you already have the growth mindset. But if you are in a position where you can encourage other people to develop this, and if the lecturer has given you some thoughts, you can share it with them.
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you so much. God bless.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
a very and informative, excellent session. I've
Thank you, ma'am.
learned so many new things. New
Okay.
things. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, at
Have a
your
good
age,
day.
if you are saying you are learning, it means a lot to me as well as.
Morning session also was very nice.
Okay.
I learned so many new models of teaching
Okay.
online.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Have a nice
Okay.
day.
Okay. Okay. So others, thank you, ma'am. Other questions? Yeah, if you can post the questions also, it can be answered very quickly. Or even you can put what you want to do. Like I was telling you, if you want to do something by tonight, if you face some problem, challenge, you can share it also.
Sir, we have a question here.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
How is growth mindset different from grit, as explained by Angela Duckworth? How similar is growth mindset to hardiness?
Actually, this Angela, whatever author saying this grit, I have not come across that. But growth mindset has one of the traits as grit, that is determination. Okay. So, like at the beginning, there was someone who also added this perseverance. That grit is like determined to do and do it no matter what. There is also another author, Dana Johar, who attributes something as spiritual intelligence, where she adds one more trait as field independence. Okay, which is close to this one. You have the confidence that you will do, and even when all the people around you are doubting you, and then they are suspecting that you cannot do it, they thinking that you don't have the talent, you don't have the research, you don't have this thing. But grit is that determination plus that your field independence that is giving you a lot of inner confidence even if outside people world is distrusting you. But to top all these things are synchronized by a growth mindset. Okay, even if you have grit, but if you have a pessimistic thinking, and if you have a lot of fixed people around, fixed mindset people, and then you also get into fixed mindset occasionally, even with that grit, sometimes you will give it up. So the most important thing these authors point out is first you should have the growth mindset, and these are other traits you should also keep it with you, and then like you will be able to achieve what you want. Yeah. Sabha says, thank you for the insights. Thank you. So, okay, I think she's working on stress management. Fine.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and sharing your knowledge about developing growth mindset. And you also covered the important points, how we should understand the mindset and also the philosophy of life and the various types of mindsets like defense or offense, positive or negative, environmentalist and technological, and also the fixed and growth mindset. Sir, you also highlighted and illustrated how to frame the good strategies with the help of rabbit and turtle story, like slow and steady wins the race. And it is also changed from fast and consistent will always beat the slow and steady. And also you have identified the different core competencies against the situations that we need to formulate the good strategies. So you also illustrated how to identify our mindset between fixed and growth mindset peoples. And it will be helpful to change the gradients. And you also highlighted the points how we need to change our fixed growth towards the learning. Sir, you also highlighted the keyword that is trying. We always promise that if you want to get anything, we need to try till we get succeed. And there are some secrets of a developing growth mindset, like be like a baby, learn to live with critical people, learn from enemies, do not believe in negative and vulnerable stereotype threats. And also you highlighted some motivational theories which will help to self-motivate ourselves to do the work more effectively. And you also highlighted the tips for the teachers to inculcate growth models in the minds of the students. And sir, you have visualized with the help of a video regarding the personality traits. And at last, you have quoted a very good inspired quotation for inspiring the participants. And definitely, sir, we will make sure and we will promise and we will adapt we will change our fixed mindset to the growth mindset, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So thank you. See you tomorrow.
I request all the participants to turn on your video for a photo session. Ruby ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You can see me?
We can see you. Please turn on your videos.
You can see me, ma'am?
Yes, you're visible, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I leave?
Yes, ma'am. Next session will start at 2:30 p.m. Please do join the
Yes,
session
ma'am.
after your lunch break.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.